makes most women start a business? Is it passion, money, or freedom? Welcome to Female Founders, the podcast that takes you behind the scene with women who are founders and CEOs to help you start and scale a successful business of your own. I am your host, Nagelia de Ravin. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Female Founders. In today's episode, I have the pleasure of having a conversation with Rinku Rathore von Liechti. She is a true leader who's shown how to make your mark by thinking differently. From starting businesses to creating beautiful art, Rinku's story is all about leading with a clear vision. She is a successful entrepreneur, a model, an advocate against bullying, and the founder of the Von Liechti resort in Durg.ai. Join me as I explore her journey and learn how to lead in your own unique way. Good morning, Rinku. I am so looking forward to have this conversation with you. Your journey has been nothing short of incredible, with so many adventures spanning from entrepreneurship to art to AI driving. Could you share a bit about your background? What drives you to such a diverse type of roles?
Well, I have some incredible role models, like I had mentioned in my life, from my mother to my grandmother, my grandfather, my father, and even my husband. I grew up in an army household. My father was in the army, so every day was basically at the dinner table. There was no TV, and conversations were basically inspirational quotes, things like war doesn't make anything right. It only shows who is left after a battle ensues. And things like when you have a call of duty, you go with your team, you back your team. That's a leadership trait. You may fail, but your team is still a team. They're humans, and as humans, we don't fail. Approach or strategy might fail. So there was always a leadership example every single day, and to be surrounded with that was incredibly. I would consider myself to be incredibly fortunate to be born in a family where I was treated as an equal, and I never once did I feel I'm a woman, I can't do this, I can't do that. And then my mother, as I quoted in my example, she was incredibly resilient. She stood up if she saw anything that was unfair or wrong. She used her voice. And same with my grandmother and my grandfather, who was an accomplished artist. I was inspired to do art from him, actually. So having these incredible role models all around, including my husband, who is a phenomenal leader. And I think I've come into my own leadership self completely. It's an inspiration that I derive from my husband. He is he's a phenomenal leader himself, and now my two children who motivate me, who power through things, and they're like, "Mom, you can do this," and they're little, and they say these things that make me feel like, oh my gosh, these two little incredible human beings who are vouching for me and cheering me up along with my whole family. So having been surrounded by that, it was obvious and a natural progression to be in the field of entrepreneurship, or to be in art, or to be in the field that involves a lot of leadership and coaching, because I've been surrounded by coaches my whole life. So
You seem to have a lot of cheerleaders.
Yes. My whole family, they have stood by me through thick and thin. I moved here I think about 13 years ago, I moved to United States. I was not supposed to be here. In fact, I didn't want to be. My plan was to move back to India and start something there because I had significant amount of experience doing entrepreneurship and very successfully actually. Moving here, things panned out differently. But my eye was, I did do corporate jobs, but my eye was always set on being a founder because that is what I excel at and thrive at. So it was a natural progression to be in this field and to I like to be a generalist, dabble in multiple things and be good at it. If I'm not good at it, I will just get out of that and do something else and focus my energy somewhere else. But first step is to find something that you're passionate about and then master the art and the craft in itself, be it to be a founder or to be an artist or to be a creator or anything, is to be committed to the process. So
Absolutely. But also that when you were young, there was an accident with a truck fire. So how does that shape your perspective on life?
oh yeah, that was the one of the most memorable and inspiring, but also scary at the same time. My mom was dropping me off to school one day, and there was this truck. Uh, its tire caught fire, and the driver didn't know that the tire has caught, is on fire literally, and it's driving. Um, my mom saw this truck and she was like, "This is bad. This truck could explode. This is really bad." She ran behind that truck, and I was like, "Mom, what if something happens? Maybe you should alert the police or." And she said, "I will do that, but I don't have a phone right now," because that was not the mobile phone era. It was in the early 90s. She ran behind that truck. She Luckily, the driver noticed through his rear view mirror and stopped the truck, and she let him know, "Look at the tire. It's on fire. You need to do something." So he stopped the truck, and then my mom ran around getting people to get water because the fire truck takes a bit of time to arrive. So she got people to get water. She hustled, got buckets of water, and threw it on the tire. And
Wow.
it was incredible to watch my mom, who was, I have just known her as, as a mom. Mom, she drops me off to school. She does homework with me. She helps me learn. And that was that moment I saw, and I recognized this is not an ordinary mom. This is a phenomenal human being. She cares, and she authentically cares about the world, and she doesn't think twice before jumping to rescue, and he doesn't even think about her own self. And it was a bit scary. But I learned one thing in that moment, is that authenticity is, you what you see is what you get, is real authenticity. And I learned that the value system that she has, that is where leadership starts, having a solid value system in place. And that was my first foray into, like, having that value system in place. And from there, everything goes well if that's intact and if that's strong. So
It seems like what happened to you that day is usually you watch those superheroes and TVs, right? You see them in comic books, but you got to see one in real life.
yes, I have to agree. I deeply respect my mom. She is I would say she is a social worker. She stands for women's rights. She has done some incredible work. Even when I had a nonprofit in India when I was in college, and it was after observing a lot of bullying happening in schools and colleges. I felt like maybe this is something I can do, something like that my mom does. She does it just casually, but maybe I could form an organization to help other students. And I launched this anti-bullying nonprofit, and it was very grassroots, very like very small scale, to be honest. But it was I was inspired by her to start that organization, and we my mom helped me a lot in starting that outfit, and the goal was to educate students on what their rights are. Is that bullying is not and should not be tolerated, and that they have rights. They can approach lawmakers or authorities, and they can actually get this addressed, and they don't have to be in fear. And that process was, I had this during that, it was the 90s. And at that time, there was this new thing in India at that time, was called the 1-800 number, toll free. People could call in toll free.
Oh,
That was a new thing for us out there in the 90s in India. And I went out there to figure out how to get that toll free number, because incoming calls were charged the same as outgoing. I had no luck getting the 800 number, so I just put my cell phone number. I printed 500 little letter size advertisements saying, "Here's a number to call. Are you being bullied at school or college?" And I went around town pasting these posters, sometimes illegally.
oh Lord.
Wrong places. I got fined multiple times saying you're not allowed to post these ads. And I got fines at several places. And I put my phone number out there, and I didn't have employees. It was just me and my mom. But and it was so grassroots. So people would call sometimes at 2 a.m., at 3 a.m. Because they needed help. They were depressed. So it became so that not only did the organization play the role of addressing and educating students, but it was also doing a lot of counseling and coaching. And it was I was really young, and I got to experience what it is to counsel other students who are depressed, and not just due to bullying, but due to circumstances that they're facing personally. So it took a different turn, but it met its purpose. And my mom was the one taking all these incoming calls. 2 a.m. in the night, like, "Oh yes," and she'd wake up, and we it was an incredible experience. It was not like I said, it was not set up to be, during that time there was no social media. Everything was small scale. But about 6 months to 8 months went by, and we received a call from a principal of a school, which was about, I think, 45 minutes away from where we lived. And they saw this poster and they said, "This is really nice work you're doing. Would you be open to coming to a college and giving a demonstration or a presentation about the rights that students have when it comes to bullying or discrimination? Can you prepare, a write-up?"
Wow.
Talk to students. And I was really young, and I had no experience giving presentations or anything. anything. So I went in there and I didn't even know PowerPoint. So I went with these big posters and I wrote everything with a marker, like, these are your rights, call this number, these are the lawmakers, write letters, write to them and tell them to make a change, and to devote more funds and resources towards students who are faced with bullying, because it's affecting your grades at school, it's affecting your entire future, your career. Take your mental health seriously, and all. There was the culture around mental health and the importance. It's gaining a lot of traction now, but it has always been an issue which needed addressing since eras ago. It's just more vocal now with social media and so on. I went to this school and I thought it would be just a small demonstration in a classroom. Turns out it was this big hall. It's a huge venue with thousands of people. And it was really scary. And I was like, I don't know how I'll do this, but somehow I managed to do it. It went well. It was really appreciated. And then I received calls from several other colleges in the area, and it went from 1 to 2 to 10, 25, 50. And I felt like we are gaining traction,
Yeah.
and we are getting attention on the right issues. Now let's write a letter to the chief minister. How there are governors for every state in the United States. The same way there's chief ministers of different states in India. So I wrote a letter to the chief minister and I put forth my concerns with the challenges students are facing when they are approaching law enforcement or whoever they need to reach to get help whenever there is severe bullying. And I didn't really expect a response or anything in return. I just thought maybe I can just make my voice how they can hear it out, and maybe they can think about it in the future. That was my goal. But they actually called me back. They responded to my letter, and they enacted stricter laws against bullying in schools in the entire state. That was replicated in the entire country.
Yeah.
So that for me was a huge achievement, and it was literally the highlight of my whole career so far, and it's very special to me. They're running that organization.
Do you still have the organization?
No. I was pursuing higher education, and I didn't have the resources or time because we didn't have a lot of income, and the income would be mostly through donations. So we could not sustain it. We tried to with our own funds, but it was becoming incredibly difficult to sustain it. So we wrapped it up, and I went and I did my MBA, and but that coaching and that the leadership lessons that I learned from that organization was incredible.
Incredible, yes.
Yeah.
But also that your entrepreneurship kind of began with clothing for we were farmers. So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes. So after my nonprofit, I did textile manufacturing. I was into that was in India, and then I moved to the United States around, I think, 13 years ago. I moved here. I did a short course in human resources. HR was a field that was very close to my heart because I worked with a lot of people, and people management was a natural inclination, having worked with people a lot. So when I moved here, recruiting at that time seemed to be the, in if I had to get into the corporate setting, recruiting was the right transition from there on. So I worked in recruiting agencies for a few years. Then I worked in corporations as a corporate recruiter for, I think, about 4 or 5 years. And then the calling for being an entrepreneur returned. And I felt, okay, I have to go back into what I am passionate about. It's to be an entrepreneur. So after doing about 4 or 5 years of recruiting, I established a huge set of network. I learned and I perfected the craft, not in the sense of just, I mean, when I say perfected the craft, I meant in terms of the industry and the knowledge. But I gained, along with gaining knowledge, I became specialized in recruiting for niche roles, hard to fill roles. And I still today, I love filling hard to fill roles because those, those are the most challenging. And where there is challenge, there's an opportunity. So it transitioned into working on an app. It was an augmented reality app that I worked on, and at that time, because I was recruiting a lot in technology, I love technology, so I taught myself to code and to program on the side. Did a lot of YouTube lessons and Udemy, Udacity, and I learned to code. And I felt I was ready to launch my own app, and with some help from my husband, who is a technologist. And we launched this augmented reality app called Entangle Us. It was like what Facebook Memories is now. Facebook Memories didn't exist then, but it was mostly based on geocaching the location. So if you go to, say, if you go to the Palace of Fine Arts in San Francisco and you take a photograph, and then you return to Palace of Fine Arts 2 or 3 years later, the app will pop up your photos and videos from that time,
location.
location. And
Cool.
it was a great project. I hired a few engineers. I recruited and hired engineers. There was a team of engineers in Ukraine and some in India that we worked with. I did most of the design for that app, and I had a team that helped in building it while I did the business development and marketing for it. At the same time, I was pregnant with my first child, and while being pregnant, I came up with the idea of why not launch a little game for pregnant moms and dads where they can play a little game of nutrition related, where there's a little baby and in the belly, and they are craving for certain foods, and they eat healthy food, but they also have to eat what they crave, or else they lose points. So it was kind of a strategy.
Ooh.
So it was it did really well. It was on the iOS and Android systems, and I did a lot of coding for that game, a lot of design, a lot of game development. I worked with game developers in Ukraine and India as well, and that paved the way for continuing to dabble in technology. Technology is something that's really, really close to me. Art and technology and the crossroads between them. And then I worked on another startup that was in real estate, machine learning, real estate. It was called Proper Roots. And then from there on, I took a break from working on my own startup, and then I went back into corporate world for about a year. Um, and then here I am now. I'm about to launch my new startup called yes, it's in the AI field, and it's an AI talent staffing firm where I plan to use generative AI to basically replicate my execution strategies for talent mining and for companies doing the same thing that I did manually, but automating it using AI. Um, yeah.
But are you the only one who's going to be using the app, or are you putting the app out for any company can use it to do hiring?
So Durg.ai, initially I would be the only one using it, and the goal is to go out there and find clients who have staffing needs, and then using my service to automate the search for the needs of clients, and then making it perfecting it enough so that it automates and does the work itself. I mean, initially it's still right now half of it is manual and half of it is automated. But as we get more clients, we plan to become more and more automated. So,
But is it going to be like employees, people that are looking for a job, they can come and use the app to apply for the job, and then automate.
yes, yes, companies can come and they can reach out to us and tell us what they need in terms of talent, and talent can come to us and say, "Hey, we are looking for a position in so and so field," um, and we help both parties. Sometimes we match them if the right talent is available for the right, the client, and the client finds the talent to be the right fit. And but it's meant for both people who are looking for jobs as well as companies that have jobs.
So both of them need to download the app, correct?
Oh, it's not an app. It's a website. It's
The
not
website.
fully ready yet. The plan, I mean, it is the plan is to make it mobile compatible, but I'm not sure if we will have an app as such. Yeah.
But is it going to be similar to LinkedIn, or a little bit more different, focus more into the process instead of applying for the job?
Uh, it will be um, it will be very specialized and catered to the needs of the client. And if there is a candidate who is interested in the jobs that the client has, which will be listed on a website, they can apply. But the process of vetting them and screening them will be done using the generative AI tools.
This is awesome. I think that's going to be. It's going to less time, because time at the end of the day, it's money, especially for organizations. When the more time your staff spend behind something, the more money you lose. So if AI can make that happen for you, don't really need the staff behind it 100%.
Well, people would still need to play a part in it because we have
Right.
to really maintain that technology, and we have to we have to keep adding to it as and when the technology changes. So from a technical standpoint, yes, we will we will need people. But in terms of return on investment for a company, for our clients or our companies, it will help them in reducing costs, because recruiting is often costly, and the mistakes in making the wrong hire is even costlier because it affects the company's bottom line. So goal is to provide them with the right fit from the onset, and not just right fit, but also to keeping in mind the diversity, equity, and inclusion aspect of it, because the whole reputation and success of a company is dependent on how they diversify and how they leverage the talent that they have, as well as the talent that they will have in the future as they scale. That really matters long term. Yeah.
So now, does it really matter if the company is big or small?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't really matter. Because we are in the AI space, most of our clients, I'm assuming, will be startups. But big companies, we always we want to work with companies of all sizes, of course. But
When are you planning on launching?
In a few months. In a few months, we are very close to finalizing the last steps in the process, the generative AI aspect of it. So we are on the last steps of that.
I look forward to go to the website and check it out. I think that it's going to be awesome, actually, incredible, because hiring is one of the most critical part of any company. And a lot of time, as business owners, we make mistakes. We hire the wrong person, and we have to hire again. Or sometimes we even hire and they don't last even 2-3 days. Or we spend 3 or 4 months training that person and they walk away. And during training, as a company, you don't get anything from it, really, because you're just investing in that staff member. And when they decided, oh, this is not for me, I quit. And all that investment you just made just went to the garbage because you didn't get anything back from it. So if AI can help, why not use it?
Yes, yes. Often when a company is a startup, when it's small, as founders, we tend to think we've got it all. We've nailed recruiting. We have the right people. Well, of course you have the right people, because you have 10, 20, maybe 20 people on your staff. That's a very small number. But as you scale, companies realize as they scale that the recruiting is really hard, because as a company grows, one wrong hire or one hire leaving or quitting just halfway can cost a lot. It can sometimes companies have shut down because of not having the right people, or having the right people quit at the wrong time. So having that culture built from the onset requires solid recruiting, and solid recruiting requires hiring the right people, and people who will not only get the job done, but be effective in the job that they are in, and also find the job that they are in to be the right fit for themselves. It's a two-way process. So that's where my company Durg.ai comes in. It acts as a intermediary, as a coach, and also as a talent management firm, where we match companies with the talent that they're looking for long-term success.
Something that you said that's very true is the fact that you have to have a passion for the job you are taking. If you just take it for the money, eventually you're going to get bored and it's not your passion, and then the company lose money and you lose your time as well. I think that people that's looking for jobs should look at it that way. You need to have a passion. Why do you want to work for this company? And when you get there, what are you trying to accomplish that's going to bring value to your own life? Let's say 5 years from now, you decided you want to walk away from this company. Can you take these values to you with you to the next company? Is it even going to be valuable to you at all? So I think if AI can help with that, I think it will be a lot helpful. Even sometimes people meet with recruiters and then they explain what they're looking for, but sometimes they have the choice to just go with whatever they find. But what about if AI can actually make that match?
If
And
AI
if
can bridge that gap, yes,
yeah,
yes, that is what we are aiming to do, to train the model enough so that it recognizes and screens. But even after it does that, we still, there is a manual component to it because we can't 100% rely on machines. There are humans
yes,
involved, and when there are humans involved, there are emotions. There's a long-term trajectory to be kept in mind with respect to their growth, aligned with the company's growth, revenue. So all of that has to be taken into consideration.
absolutely.
So yeah.
But now you're also into the fashion and modeling world.
Yes. I dabbled in modeling after I moved to the United States. I love fashion. I love everything art. I love jewelry design, fine art. I mean, not as an observer, but as a creator. I love to. I love goldsmithing. I love working with gold, silver, and stone setting. I love doing fine art, and modeling was involves a lot of fashion, which is a creative expression. So um, I did I did a lot of modeling and photo shoots, and then I had two children. I took a long break from it, and now I'm since the last 1 or 2 years I'm back in the modeling industry again. Yeah.
How do you like it?
I love it. I've gotten in touch with all the photographers and the creators, I should say, or fashion designers that I worked with in the last 10 years. So I'm going to be working with them again after 10 years, almost 10 years. So it's great. Yeah.
But do you think of getting into acting one day?
No, I'm uh, I'm way too honest to portray acting. I speak what I think, and that doesn't really translate to acting really well.
No, you need to know how to fake it sometimes. But there's something else you are doing. You are launching a boutique resort and retreat center.
Yes, yes.
What inspired you to do that?
Uh, my dad is a builder back home in India, so he was in the army. He fought in wars and stuff. He's done some incredible stuff. Then he became a union leader. He was a really powerful and well-known union leader in Bombay. So that was really inspiring. And then he became a builder. So since childhood, it was my dream to have, build my own little something and convert it into a lodge or some sort of a resort. So that was a childhood dream, and it has come true. The timing is perfect as well. So I would say it's a boutique resort in Yosemite. I love Yosemite. My husband and I, we got married in Yosemite. So that's a really special place for us. And we plan to launch it soon. Basically, it's a place where small startups or corporate teams can come and stay. We have lots of different spaces. It's a big 4,300 square feet space, so they can do little activities and games and have a little what do you call it? I forgot the name. Have they have these events at companies and
Event.
startups, so they can have that little event for to get their teams together and stuff. There's game rooms. There is a little spa and like all hiking trails carved out for people to take morning walks and rejuvenate. There is playground for children to play if families come and
You
stay
think
with
of
them.
everything.
Yes, it has everything built in. So the idea was when COVID hit, it was everyone was locked up in their homes, and we realized, how damaging that was to people's mental health, and especially for parents with small children who have to work from home. So that the place that we are launching was the place that we went and stayed at to recover from the after effects of the pandemic, being isolated and being cooped up, basically. So we are hoping that people will find the same joy that we found in a little boutique resort and have fun and enjoy. Kids
What
can
will be the name?
enjoy. Um, it's called the Rathore von Liechti Resorts and Retreat Center, Yosemite. It's a
Are you?
really long name.
It is, but it's really interesting though. But are you going to also do retreat yourself, or is it just companies gonna come there to do retreat with the staff?
We will also. That's the plan. Once if no one else has booked resort, then we plan to. But goal is to let people enjoy and discover the place and explore. Lots of meditation areas. We did a lot of meditation, yoga. There's little spots all over the land to explore and just do yoga or meditate on a big boulder, big rock. It's incredible. We put our heart and soul into it.
What phase is it in right now? Is it ready to launch, or are you still building it?
It's ready to launch in a few weeks. We just need we have some furniture to set up, but besides that, it's fully ready to go.
Are you gonna go there for the launch?
Yes, yes, yeah. Taking a break from the hustle of everyday life, it's much needed. Especially in
Sometimes we do need that. Some alone time, but also some time away from it all with the family just to enjoy. Because how
yeah,
many times do we spend in front of the computer working every day? So it's a lot. Sometimes the eye also need a break from it all as well.
yeah.
But also you had to find art. Are you still doing that? Or is it something you did when you were younger?
I'm still doing that. I commission work, not a whole lot between juggling two children and launching two different ventures. I've not gotten a chance to since the last 2 years, but I do a lot of studies on the side, a lot of still life portraits in oil on canvas and linen. My grandfather was a well known artist back home. Uh, he was, I mean, I may be at only 1 or 2% of how talented he was. He was a phenomenal inspiration growing up, watching him paint.
But you've done so much, and right now you are launching two companies, and not to mention that you're going back to fashion in modeling. You have two children, you have a husband, and what advice would you give to entrepreneurs and change makers who want to make a meaningful impact in the world?
I would say take yourself seriously, whatever you do, because if you don't, no one else will. Own your seat at the table, any table. know that you have something you need to offer. And even if you don't have experience, sometimes there is a tendency, especially for women who want to start a venture, fear can really grapple them and delay what they want to pursue. Let that fear exist, it's okay. Uh, but also remember that lack of experience is not incompetence, and people you think are experts are also not perfect. They just have more experience than you. So um, keep that in mind, and focus on the goal and the end goal. Um, that would be my advice to other women.
How can someone reach out to you for any of your services and just to connect?
They can reach out to me on LinkedIn, send me a direct message. My LinkedIn allows anyone to message me even if they are not connected to me. Or you can reach out to me directly on my website. My phone number and my email are listed on there. I think, yeah, those are the two ways they can reach out.
So, what will be your last word to our listeners? From everything that you have done in your lives, starting with the nonprofit organization to helping uh, students in school from being bullying. So, what would you say to our listeners, people in the world, especially after COVID, everything that we have been through, and you are opening pretty much a resort and retreat just for that, just to support that. And also, I heard the thing that maybe we have another part of COVID that's coming back again. So, what would you say to others?
I would say that define what values matter to you and be committed to those values, because from those values, those values will determine the leadership that you can offer in the future or currently. Um, Having that moral fiber, a strong set of value systems, will carry you through success. And you may fail, but that failure won't be the result of you making a wrong decision intentionally. It would be unintentional. But yeah, that focus on values and own your power. Know that everyone in this world has something unique, something different to offer in this world. Everyone has talent and everyone has their own unique abilities. Focus on that and hone your craft. And you may not be, you don't need to be perfect, but as long as you own that and you build upon that, you will succeed.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for giving me that chance to talk to you, Rinku. I appreciate the time and the energy behind it, and listening to your family, the values behind it, the way you grow up, and the role models that you still have until today, and it's mean a lot to other women because it's make us feel like we are not alone. There's other women out there that keep on paving, and also one thing that I hope our listeners will get from that is the fact that don't try to do everything on your own. Get help, get support, and make sure if you don't have the same system Renku had and still have until today, you can
Yeah.
create one for yourself. You can find the people that believe and trust and love you that want to be there, even if they are not your family. They are exist. They're out
And
there.
exactly, some people may not have role models in the family, but if they strive to seek out mentors and role models, and they that inspiration is enough to propel your career and your life forward. And role models are everywhere. We just have to, keep an eye out and go out there and join different groups and organizations, meet with people, talk to them, find out what drives them, what inspires them, what made them do the venture that they're doing. It's just, to talk and, to, be also not be afraid to be vulnerable. Don't be afraid to tell your story. Being vulnerable, I think, is the greatest asset. It's the greatest example of being resilient and a strong leader. So, yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Rinku.
Thank you. I had a lot of fun talking to you.